Welcome to another episode of Feed the Trolls. This is not Feed the Trolls. Wow. That is like just so ingrained in my brain that I just did that. Welcome to another episode of Not Feed the Trolls. This is Sell Me This Pro.
Are you keeping that in?
Yeah, of course I am. It's funny as hell. Who cares?
Maybe one day I'll be on Feed the Trolls.
We're going to get you on BDog. We've got to make a plan there. I got off a plane this morning from PGL Bucharest. BDog's been casting all day. We've just finished recording an episode you probably saw last week, and that was why I just went into... Huh? What was that?
Wild episode.
Wild episode. We just went straight into this. The last episode was all over the place. I left in a whole section where BDog was like, everything is shit right now. Like, what are we doing? So it's been a good time. Welcome to Not Feed the Trolls. Sell Me This Pro. And we're back to doing what we normally do, which is telling you about new players that you might not know and whether or not you should invest in them. This one is just super cool because you're going to see this player at IM Melbourne, I presume, because they've announced him. Shocked Counter-Strike. They fall out of PGL Bucharest. They announce a benching. We're all trying to guess who they're going to buy. And then they announced this guy. What the hell is FURIA doing, BDog? What is going on? Tell us about this dude.
We need a Kazakh AWPer. This is what the Brazilian team needed. Do you know what? I really like it. I'm just going to go out and say it. I love it. Fair play. Because FURIA have come out and said a number of articles. A number of articles have come out and they've done lots of interviews and they've been saying, look, they don't think with a pure 5-player Brazilian roster they're going to achieve anything, which is wild to say. So instead they want to go European. And this purchase, Mr. Molodoy, who you would have heard of a little bit, you might have heard me yapping about him in previous episodes. We'll go over who he is. But this guy, they're buying him for the future, and they're looking at this long-term, I think, development plan for European and Brazilian Counter-Strike. The only thing I can actually indirectly think of is Kazakh probably could have gone liquid.
Well, so I am under the understanding of, I don't have a lot of knowledge about buyouts and contracts and things.
I imagine it's a lot.
My understanding is that South American Counter-Strike kind of shot themselves in the foot.
Oh, I can tell you about that if you want. Yeah, it's awful.
Look how excited you got. Me too. My understanding is they basically have just put everyone in contract jail. Like, it's impossible to buy players out.
There's a lot of people in contract jail. And if you want to buy out these players, I'm without offending people, we're going to do tier lists of Brazilian buyout players and how much they cost roughly, and these are all estimations. This is not inside knowledge I have. This is just kind of like rumors from HTV and articles and things.
You're doing a Kazakh, basically. Let's go.
If you want like kind of a mid tier, like a tier 2 Brazilian player, you got to pay at least like 200k for the buyout. If you want a really like an okay tier 1 player, you're looking at like $500,000 to $1 million, and if you want probably Kazakh, you're probably paying like $3 million. I don't know, like it's going to be ridiculous. These are not actual figures, but like that is like the ranges, right? Like that's from my understanding. It is every person in Brazil has got, or the majority of them have got buyouts in their contract, and the buyouts are extortionate, like absolutely extortionate. Like some of the rumors I've heard about, like Fluxo signing players, like they signed one player for like 300k. Like, sorry, who and why and how much? Like, it's bonkers.
But you see, this is my thing. So when this whole FURIA thing happened, a lot of people were like, what the hell are they doing? And I was like, well, I think what happened was probably they are in a situation where they needed a change. They were playing, we all saw it. It wasn't working.
No.
But you can't afford, like, it's not that you can't afford, but you're looking at what's available in the market.
Why would you pay that much?
Why are we going to pay that much? Like, it's not worth the spend. So hell, let's go look in Europe. The fact that they went the route of an AWPer, very interesting to me. I actually think as well, like a lot of people were shocked by that. I'm not. I think Fallen
I'm not either.
I think he's making it pretty clear that he's planning on stepping down at some points. He specifically like sort of said that, where he's going to move to a rifle and create space for a new AWPer. Like, I think that he's accepted that maybe his role has to change. But like, I I mean, obviously, I was shocked that they went the route of a European player, more so that it was a Kazakhstani AWPer that most people didn't really know who the hell it was when it was announced. But I mean, I think it was a situation of we need to get someone before the major and what is actually available to us and what makes we're making a change. We're gonna put this player in, but we're now gonna change a lot of things around this player. We don't want to spend millions on that player in case these changes don't work. That's the way I kind of read it, BDog.
Also, who could you realistically buy as a investment for the future who isn't going to be playing in the MRQs, who isn't going to be affected by the major and the roster lock? And I imagine you would have to have given your roster lock for teams competing at the MRQs in advance. So it's one of them. It's the same why G2 might be signing potentially a certain Polish AWPer instead of Manassi, because Monty are not playing in the MRQs, and also Hades is now loaned up with Monty. So I imagine that loan will happen. Anyway, same with Melody and AMKAL, and also Melody has been just destroying people in tier 2. He plays very aggressive, which is kind of fun because that's how Brazilians like to play Counter-Strike. So stylistically, I think it makes a lot of sense as well. And from a projection point of view, if this is the direction that FURIA wants to go, and if they want to move to a more European and blended mix with the Brazilians, and they want to sort of go international, and they want to develop this for the long run, picking up a 20-year-old AWPer is probably a pretty good place to start. And it's interesting that you say that about Fallen, because I agree with you. I think Fallen was only supposed to be at FURIA for like a year as well, wasn't he? I don't think he was supposed to actually be playing very long term. I could be
I mean,
wrong
I
on
love
that.
Fallen, but he was meant to have done a last dance like 3 years ago, man. Like the dude's
Right,
still on the
exactly,
dance
right.
floor. Like the tie is loose and the shoes are scuffed, and you know that like that old dude at the wedding that kind of won't sit down. That's where I'm like, Fallen, sit down. You told us you were done. Like he's still going. So I don't know how to weigh in there. This is a harsh question, and obviously you don't have the answer, but
Yeah,
I'm
go on.
just spitballing here. Are you sure this is not a stopgap? Is this not a okay? We're going to buy this. We don't have much going for us right now. Moving into the major, we'll take this huge risk because we're going to now have to probably. I imagine he doesn't speak Portuguese. Maybe I'm wrong,
I
but
imagine he
come.
doesn't speak
Yeah, I imagine he
Portuguese.
doesn't speak Portuguese. So now we're going to all call in English. We're going to make this huge change before the major, which is a big change. We're going to move Fallen off the AWP. He's going to be a rifling IGL. We're bringing in a new. We're going to make all these changes. Is it long term, or do you think it's a cool? He's a young AWPer, so we can still sell him for money, and then after the major, we can try and pick up another Brazilian.
I feel like they would have just kept Cello though. It is my counter, but also they've kind of done this before, so they've got the track record. But with that being said, they did do it with Brazilians. They didn't import an international prospect. They didn't, and they directly bought Melody out of his contract. And I imagine AMKAL, after seeing how good he is, probably renegotiated his contract and has at least got a sizable buyout for him. Again, don't know. I'd hope that it isn't a stopgap, because they've directly said that they want to go international and they feel like 5 Brazilians. Let me get the actual quote rather than me angering an entire nation.
Best. I do think what bugs me is there was a lot of interviews during PGL Bucharest of Fallen specifically talking about how happy they were with the team, how positive they were feeling, how they know they have to change things, but they're all working ahead. And then literally straight afterwards, boom, we actually have a new player. So this was always in the works, and everything I said I wasn't a lie, but like I misled you.
Yeah.
Like nothing I said was really the case. I mean, a lot of people would get annoyed. I was kind of like, oh, it's great PR. Like he's obviously learned over the years. He just goes through the quotes, play our own game. We're working hard for the major. We know we have things to fix. Boom, we're going to change this player, and we weren't going to tell you.
Yeah, here we go. So Fallen says, passing my responsibility to another player so I can have more time and more vision to eventually in the future also replace myself with a new captain in FURIA. We're focused on making FURIA a super competitive team. And yeah, FURIA now will nearly have a month to get acclimatized to a transition to English. Okay, it's kind of funny.
So that's mental, right? So now we're gonna completely change to English, which is mental. When the hell are you gonna do that? Because you are scheduled to play in Melbourne. If I'm not mistaken, Furia plays Melbourne. I don't know. I gotta check the events real quick. So bear with me. They play Melbourne, and then I'm presuming they go to Astana. They are in Astana, if I'm not mistaken. So they'll do, yeah, they're in Astana. So Melbourne, come home for a little bit, go to Astana, and then it's the Mage. Oh, and then they've got straight from Astana, they've got Dallas. So they're doing their crazy flight. So between when Blast Rivals is running, so April 30th to May 4th, that is the time that Furia will have to figure out how the hell this is all going to work, because there ain't no way that they're going to be able to transition very easily to English in the space of 4 days before they fly to Melbourne, right?
I don't know how they're gonna do it, to be honest.
My mistake. They are not at Melbourne, so I take it back.
Okay,
Actually,
that's fine then.
So they have what? They have 3 weeks. They have 3 weeks to be able to call in English and feel comfortable before they go to Astana. Holy shit, that's insane, BDog.
Yeah. Okay, I found this. Sorry, I also found this article that I was referencing. It's from Dust 2, and it's basically just they just copy pasted and translated what the FURIA CEO said on Twitter. He said some very interesting things, like FURIA was born 6 years ago, and now we're one of the top 10 orgs in the world. If you don't recognize that, fuck off.
Wow.
He basically said, we never run away from a change. We just haven't been able to change because of market availability or money. So he's referencing the buyouts, and he said, we're always going to think strategically. Brazilian football went bankrupt in this way. This doesn't mean that sometimes people don't like change, and their Furia's moment in CS requires change. So he's basically then saying, like, look, the 5 Brazilians won't work right now because of the money, because of the buyouts. I don't know how they're going to do it. It is the honest answer, but I do. I have concerns, and I also have like excitement, because I want to be the guy that sort of uplifts tier 2, and I always go on about how I enjoy the journey of these players. And the thing is, I don't think Melody's going to suck. I think he's going to play well, but I'm worried that if Furia don't as a team succeed things, he's probably the scapegoat. And then we're entering a Kai situation. We're entering a Skulls on Liquid situation, where you're just kind of like, well, you're the new person, and it doesn't work, so it's your fault. We changed English for you. It just doesn't work. But half of me wants to be like, do you know what? If he plays well, and Furia don't play well, someone will save him. So...
That's hopeful thinking. Let's talk. Okay, let's talk about him real quick, because, like you mentioned, very aggressive playstyle. What did you like about him on AMKAL?
Just kills everyone.
Which is very useful to have in an AWPer.
He's really. He'll tell you what. He's really good with a rifle as well as an AWP. Doesn't need, like, a lot of tier 2 players actually are becoming a lot more flexible. Kind of said this in the video last week, but a lot of AWPers are now having to become more adaptable on the rifle. CS2 is not just. It's not like CS:GO. Like, you have to be competent with your AKs if you're an AWPer. This guy's first headshot, like, bullet accuracy is scary. Very good on the rifle, can play really aggressive, and he just hits the shots. Like, I don't know how to frame it. Sometimes when I'm watching Fallen, I'm like, please hit the shot, and he doesn't. This guy will hit all the shots, which is what they need. They need a consistent AWPer, and they need one that wants to prove himself. I think this is why it's actually quite a wise move for Furia. Because for Melody, right? You're moving into tier 1. It's a brand new challenge that you're already making towards tier 1. It's a brand new challenge because you're the guy that Furia wants to actually completely revamp their roster to the point where they're changing to English for you, and you've got to shine. And the thing is, I think you'd do well in that, because up until 4 months ago, no one knew who Melody was. And not many people still know who Melody is because
I think a
not a
lot
lot
of
of the
people
fan
didn't
base,
know. Yeah, didn't
not a lot of
know.
the fan base don't watch tier 2, right? This
Yeah.
guy is very, very good, and this guy has got a lot of ceiling about him. I'd never heard of him, and he replaced Height. So AMKAL, for context, is old DMS. We did a video on DMS, and I was going on about how much I loved Height, who was ex Cloud9 Academy. He got booted for this bloke. And I was like, well, that's not going to work. Why have they done that? And this guy's better. This guy's better, and he's unbelievably good. He has a. I mean, look at HLTV, right? Like, this is his stats in tier 2. You know how many matches they play in tier 2. They play all the damn time. 1.26 rating. That's the number that means something to you. There's also the 99 out of 100 stuff, right? Opening kills, 81 out of 100. If you think his opening's good, then normally that means he's at the start of the round and he's not going to be involved in the late round situations. So he's not really going to have a good clutch stat, right? 86 out of 100 on clutch when he's got 81 openings. So he's alive at the beginning, he's alive at the end. He can be malleable. He can go for opening picks if you want him to, or he can come in and he can close. He can do both things. Sniping 95 out of 100. Of course, he's the AWPer on the team. The thing that surprised me, actually, about Melody is that he's got an okay utility stat. I didn't think he was that guy. I thought he was one of those to just go and shoot people and be set up by people. But he's got that in his locker too. So I remember the HTV article that FURIA... when FURIA announced that they were signing him, and Fallen said, we've played him in practice and we think he's a diamond in the rough. And I think that's a valid thing to say. I guess you can call the rough tier 2. He's certainly a diamond. And the fact that he can be good in opening stages of rounds, closing stages of rounds, means that you've got flexibility. When FURIA are making this move, they're going to need flexibility. So he's a good one. He's very good. He's certainly impressed me quite a lot. His CT and T side stats, I'm just looking at it now. It's actually funny because his CT opening kills are way better than his T side. His clutching on T side is 93 out of 100. Are you joking me, Melody? What is going on? I'm discovering this as you are, Sam. This is ridiculous.
My concern here is, though, if you look at the teams that he's been playing, they're not on the level that he's going to face off against in like Astana. Like
I don't think that matters, though.
You don't think? I think that there is a jump for an AWPer, which we've seen. We were wrong about Ultimate in the beginning, but we saw it very quickly. The jump from tier 2 to tier 1 is rough.
Well, the thing is, though, I think if he doesn't play well, I don't actually think that's. I think what will happen, is FURIA as a unit will not play well to start with, but he will play. He will have these moments in rounds, like he'll have like a big multi-kill moment. He will have like his clutches every now and then. It will show you that he is a good player. I think that's ultimately what you got to look at when you're looking at this Melody side in, because let's be real, I'm not going to sit here and predict that FURIA are going to change to English. They've brought in a 20-year-old Kazakhstani AWPer who's pretty good in tier 2 and they're suddenly going to win everything, because that would be outrageous. And if they do, fair play. But what I am saying is he is a good pickup. It makes business sense for them to pick up this guy if they are committing to this, which it looks like they are, in lines with what the CEO is saying, in lines with what Fallen is saying. And I don't know. I think it's a really good decision from what they could get, and I think he will prove that he is a good enough player to play at the level that FURIA are currently at.
Do you know what's also really freaking sick about this? Is that his first debut with FURIA.
Yeah.
From what I can now see, so I was confused with some of them, but I've now checked. His first debut with FURIA will be PGL Astana in Kazakhstan. That's kind of sick, right? We're going to have a Kazakhstan AWPer on the stage at PGL Astana. What a huge moment for him, this 20-something player with FURIA. You'll be sitting up there with Fallen, who he may not be the Fallen of old, but he's still like a living legend. What a freaking cool debut.
That's really cool. That is really cool, actually.
I just realized, like, there's a part of me that wants to see him get on that stage and absolutely pop off, because it's just, I mean, it'll be the group stages in the hotel first, but what a story that will be.
Imagine if they get playoffs. Like, imagine
It's
it. Like,
just cool,
that'd actually
man.
be amazing. Ah, the romantic in it. Who can they beat here? Like, realistically, who can Furia beat as Furia? And I'm glad they got rid of Cello because he was really mid.
Please tell me, but off topic, because I'm trying to make a vlog and I want to put this clip in it. Please tell me you saw the diffuse stuff up in Bucharest.
Did his headset
They ended
fall
up.
off or something?
So what happened was, let me tell you, because we were all, no one understood what happened. Is Cello pulled his headset ear cup like off his ear
Yeah.
and picked up his mouse and in Portuguese said, "Hello, complexity, anyone there?" Like laughing.
Oh, he
And
did
then
it with
with
his
his mouse,
mouse.
so he did it as so he was picks up his mouse, does this thing
Right.
pretending that the mouse is a phone. He's taken this off.
Did he
He's
drop his
giggling.
mouse?
He knocked his headset off with his mouse. His headset fell on the keyboard, hit his hand, and that was when he slipped off the diffuse.
Yeah, that's what I thought happened. I thought his headset
Yeah.
hit his mouse. Sorry, hit his
So
keyboard.
his headset hit the keyboard because his mouse knocked it off when he was pretending to be on the phone. And I thought it was hella funny, but also I will now always remember that straight after
That's
that
your
Cello
last
got
moment.
benched.
Yeah.
That's the moment that I have etched in my mind.
So I didn't know he picked up his mouse. I thought he was doing this to hear his teammates, which is really stupid thinking about it because they're wearing headsets.
So he literally did this. I mean, I could show you. So he went like this, and then he picked up this to be like, "Hello, complexity, anyone," and then knocked it off. So
probably the best thing he's done in months, to be honest.
And then knocked himself, which is fine. They ended up winning that, so it was okay. But that was poor Cello. I was
really
like, my
funny.
God, that's the last thing. That's the last thing
That's
in
how you're
everyone's
gonna be
brain.
remembered, brother.
That's how you're gonna. I also liked it because everyone was giggling. I don't speak Portuguese. And then he said something, and then you just heard Fallen go, "Fuck, fuck, fuck, fuck." And I was like, magic. Anyway, I mean, a lot of people are happy Cello's gone. There was a lot of people calling for his head. Why was that?
It just wasn't very good, and to be honest, that again, kind of not his fault in weird ways because I think the roles he got put into were roles that he wasn't used to, and yeah, he's had a year to figure it out, and it hasn't really worked. So do you know what? I guess enough time has passed. He was on that team for what, like a year and 9 months. Came in the same time as Fallen, right? And Fallen's been there, 1 year, 9 months. I know they've had some issues, Furia, and I know they've had a lot of swaps, and then they've had different changes, and they're going through different roles. But if you've been on the team that long, like you got to figure it out. He just wasn't performing well, and it happens. It happens.
I just think that K Serrato will be one of the best players of all time that never is, because he's chosen to stay on this lineup.
I think he's like Tabson in a weird way. I think he's like Brazilian Tabson, K Serrato.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, this is Sell Me This Pro, BDog, so I suppose this is the part where we should actually do what the show was set up to do.
Okay.
Are you investing in Melody? I mean, is this a player that we should be investing in long term?
How are we going to frame this one?
Because keeping in mind that G2's probably going to need an AWPer after the major. There's talk that FaZe may need. FaZe may need an AWPer after the major. So all I'm thinking is maybe if it doesn't work out on Furia, so long as he has a few moments to stand up and go, look, I'm actually quite talented and showcase himself. I think he may be a good punt, just because there are going to be other teams looking straight after the major, potentially for a new AWPer.
You've done it. You've done the bit.
I know, except Furia will put a massive buyout on this player because they are from Brazil, ultimately locking him in contract jail so he can never be purchased, and it won't make any logical sense to buy him because you can find a cheaper AWPer in Europe. I'm scared that might happen, but there you go.
Do you reckon sorry, I know you said we're going to do this last bit, but now that's actually an interesting point. Do you reckon they would do that, considering the CEO called out all the other TOs? Why do I keep saying TOs? All the other orgs for doing that. Do you reckon he does that too?
I bet you K Serrato's buyout is through the freaking roof.
Yeah, no, I understand. The thing is, though, I actually kind of understand K Serrato's, but would you do that for Mr. Melody? Because he's 20?
I don't know.
And he's not Brazilian?
Maybe you don't.
I don't know.
You did buy out his contract.
But we don't know how much that was.
I don't think it would be a lot. I mean, I think that they could do it because it's just a South American thing to do. I think if they were smart, here's what I'm thinking, is that
Okay.
you've bought him as a stopgap. Sorry, not sorry. You're bringing him in. If it all goes to shit at the major, exactly like you said, you have a bit of an excuse. But you also are hoping for the fact that there are other teams that may be looking for an AWPer down the line, right? You know that there is going to be some market movement. So if he's good, you keep him. And if he's not good, you have an option to sell him to another European team, maybe. I mean, maybe that's the thinking by it. It's a lot more difficult to sell a Brazilian AWPer. So who knows?
Here's your next question then. If it is a stopgap and it doesn't work and you do decide to sell him on to a G2, by the way, guys, I guess we're going to just tangle in this final segment with this whole conversation. It's like he is good enough to probably go to G2 in time. I really could see that. I think but if G2 are linked with Hades, like no disrespect to Hades, obviously Hades has got more experience playing some tier 1 events. Melody's a better AWPer mechanically than Hades. He's better than Ultimate, and that's kind of the base test we go on for Sam Weathers Pro. If he goes, then if they do sell him, who's walking through that door for FURIA? And at the same time, will Fallen go back to AWPing, and then you're getting an in-game leader? Who you getting if you're getting a new in-game leader? Big Uzira ain't walking through that door. Let me tell you that.
Are we already? We're not even like we've already gone. Okay, cool. You've got this. You've got Melody, but it's probably not going to work. So what's going to happen after the major? No, I think maybe I think based on what Fallen was saying, I think he's setting himself up to move to a coaching role or to move out of that.
I'll tell you what then, if it is if it's Fallen's whole project, if it is the idea that Fallen is going to become an in-game leader, just a rifling in-game leader, Melody's AWPing, he then goes and scouts out his own little international project, and then he moves into the coach role. Like, that's a really interesting thing for me. That's
what I'd like for FURIA.
If it goes in that direction, and ultimately he doesn't get stiffed by FURIA, and that does, and they actually just go with that, and they're going to trust him. He's like godfather of Brazilian Counter-Strike and has got a really good relationship with FURIA from what I know. So if that is the case, if that's what they want to do long term, then yeah, that will work, and they won't sell Melody. Like I actually do think that has actually got legs to it. I'll be very interested to see what he looks for. But he's picked a very good AWPer who will give you openers, who will give you a good clutch, especially on the T side. And the fact that he's then debuting in Astana, like in Kazakhstan, his home country, like the script writes itself, doesn't it? So I'm expecting a nice little debut for Melody in FURIA, and let's see how good they are at common in English.
I like this a lot. I kind of see this as the FURIA has a nice run in PGL Astana. Maybe they have a deep run at the major. I don't think they're going to win the major with this lineup, but a deepish run.
Oh, no.
Fallen's currently scouting his replacement. He steps out as coach, and it's the next step of FURIA. Maybe that's it. Who knows? Look at us. We're being so positive about Counter-Strike today. People haven't been very positive about FURIA. So there you go. A new take. Lots of people question marks around Melody. BDog and I say, if you were selling him, maybe worth a little bit of investment. Is that the best way to sum this one up, BDog?
Yeah, he's like you stick money into the stock of Melody. You don't look at it for 5 years. You see what happens. It'll probably be a good thing.
That's the episode. Thank you so much for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and we'll be back soon with another one. But now both of us need some sleep, I think. So we're going to do that.